This video contains content that some might find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Do you remember any spooky childhood stories your parents used to tell you? Or creepy local legends that circulated among the neighborhood kids? These stories, whether meant to scare, entertain, or offer warnings about danger, can carry a hidden layer of truth. Tonight, our narrator unfolds a haunting childhood story, one he's struggled to forget. I'm Ryan Bergara, and this is Are You Scared? A show where I tell my friend Shane Madej the internet's scariest stories. So lock your doors, turn off the lights, and let's see if we can make it till the end of the night. Milk White.
Could you hold the key to solving this mystery? Join us next time for more spooky mystery.
And cut. That's lunch, everybody.
Great job, Shane.
Thank you.
Really believe that one.
Oh, you know, I sure do love lunchtime, almost as much as I love today's episode sponsor, Upside. Now, the free Upside app gets you cash back on daily essentials like gas, groceries, and dining. With over 100,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on the Upside app, ensuring that cash back is always just around the corner. And yes, it's real cash back. Check this out. I was craving Thai food for lunch today. I just opened the app, claimed the offer, picked up my takeout and paid as usual with my credit card, followed the steps in the app, and I just got paid. This offer was too good to pass up. And the cash will appear in my Upside account, and I can cash out at any time through bank transfer, PayPal, or any gift card. Top Upside earners are making as much as $300 a month. To find out how much you can earn, click the link in the description to download Upside and use code WATCHER to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas, or scan the QR code here to claim this offer. And now, without further ado, I think it's lunchtime. Oh boy, I can't wait. I'm starving.
Okay, that's lunch. We're back, everybody.
Spend smarter today with the free Upside app.
I was born and raised in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Unless you live nearby, you've probably never heard of it. People living in the larger Wisconsin cities, your Madisons and Milwaukees, don't even know we exist.
That's not true. I know about Sheboygan. What is Sheboygan? It's a town in Wisconsin.
It's because I was thinking of that spotted cow. I know about you,
He
Wisconsin.
knows. He knows.
I know. You and your cheese.
Mars Cheese Castle.
Oh, shit.
It's really good.
Wisconsin is known for our cheese, our cows, and our beer. See? I told you I knew you, Wisconsin. I know you. And of course, for our abundance of psychiatric hospitals and serial killers. Didn't know about that.
Little Jeffy Dahmer.
He was from there too?
I think that was near Milwaukee, was it not?
Oh man.
Yeah, Midwest got a lot of serial killers.
Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein also hail from my home state. Ed Gein was from there too? Holy shit, Wisconsin. What the fuck?
I get some real sick.
Ed Gein was fucked up. He had like nipples for telephones and stuff like that, and like.
I think he had a little more than nipples on telephone. I don't think it was like, oh, the phone's ringing, nipples, nipples. You know, it was like he made like.
Well, that wouldn't mean the phone would say nipple.
Weren't a lot of those. Nibble.
In case you lack basic knowledge of current events or popular culture, they're two of the most infamous serial killers in America. I don't know if it's the cold climate or what, but we seem to breed a bit of crazy up here. And Sheboygan is no exception.
Look,
this is your folk. That's touching your borders, right?
No, yeah, I mean, you know, we got beef with Wisconsin. I think everyone, they don't like us up there. They call us fish.
And what do you call them?
We don't think about them. But it's like that thing, you know, like in California, like the people in San Francisco are always like, LA, we don't like you. And everyone in LA is like, what are you saying up there?
We have an old abandoned asylum along the highway. Here's a picture of it from an old postcard. Ooh, we should go investigate that for
check that
ghost
place
files.
out. I'd go to Wisconsin.
Yeah, have some spotted cow.
Spotted Cow from New Glarus Brewing.
It used to house people judged criminally insane, at least according to local lore, and it's where the legend of Milk White first began.
Do you like milk?
No, not really. I don't drink it.
Growing up, did you have milk?
Yeah, but I mean...
How often?
Well, clearly not that often.
I liked to have milk with dinner.
That makes sense. That's probably why you're so tall.
Yeah.
I drank a lot of Dr. Pepper.
Never broke a bone either because of all the milk I drank.
Well, I've never drank a bone either.
I said never broke a bone, not drank a bone, you idiot.
Wait, I didn't say drank a bone.
Yes, you did. You said drank a bone.
Did I say drank a bone?
He said I never drank a bone.
Actually, that's actually not even.
His brain's no good. He's sundowning.
And that's actually not even true because I have drank a bone. I've had bone soup.
Yeah, you got me there.
And I have
That's
bone
also
marrow.
tasty.
And bone marrow.
Yeah, you love that stuff.
I love boning. The first time I heard Milk White's story, I was 6. The story goes that Milk White's mother was an inmate at the asylum. She was incarcerated while she was pregnant, and he was born right there, behind bars. No one knew what to do with him, so he just crawled around the asylum, eating scraps.
That happens all the time, though. People have babies in prison, I assume.
Yeah, that happens in zoos, too, all the time, too, as well.
Yeah.
Born in captivity, they're both sad.
Sure. So people in prison to you would describe them as animals.
No, I'm just saying.
That's what you're.
No. What I'm saying is
we got him.
I'm saying
we got him.
I'm saying.
Ryan Bergara's canceled, everybody.
Growing up in the institution, Milk White learned madness from its patients. There were no other children in the asylum to play with. He grew to despise the daylight and turned nocturnal, sleeping until the sun went down. They say because he never went outside, his skin was pale and waxen, and his teeth were sharp, like rows of little white knives. Something in him had changed. Eventually, he figured out how to get in and out of the asylum unnoticed.
You got in and out in the asylum? I didn't know DoorDash delivered to those places.
In and out's on DoorDash, sadly. Desperate for friends, he would leave every night and travel into the city, peering into bedroom windows to see if you were still awake. If he found you still up, he would pry open the window and snatch you, taking the kids he found back to the asylum.
Well, that's illegal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kidnapping is illegal.
It just seems weird that this is common knowledge. Like, well, be careful, there's a little pale Baraka boy coming around. And
if I saw his pale little face in my window and I was a kid, I'd shoot him with a slingshot or something.
Yeah. You didn't have your katana yet. So.
Didn't have my katana. But children are loud, unruly creatures who'd scream when they saw him. So he'd open his jaw wide and use his sharp teeth to chomp their necks. Finally, peace and quiet. He'd bring their bodies back to the asylum basement, where he'd prop them up to play, pretending he had an entire room of friends. He would sing them nursery rhymes in the dead of night. I got a question. He does this one time. Don't you think they shut that down after the first time? It seems to suggest that he does this regularly. Gets out of the asylum, brings back little dead kids, plays around with them.
Look, we're not here to poke holes in the story, Ryan. We're here to dance with it. Even if it doesn't make any sense whatsoever and was written by a 7-year-old.
Okay, I'll take off my logic cap.
Yeah.
And I'll put on my fun cap. Oh, kids are dying. That's not very fun. I'll take that fun
no, we
cap
have to
off,
have fun with
and I'll
it.
put on
Kids
my
are
murder
dying.
Cap. Oh, yeah, now let's get to murder.
What cheer?
This was the story used by parents to scare their misbehaving children.
Oh,
Okay,
he's not real.
He's not real. Go to sleep, or else Milk White will come for you. I know it doesn't make much sense, scaring your kids so they fall asleep, but I don't know what to tell you. Don't knock it till you've tried it, I guess. The asylum was shut down a long time ago, but they say Milk White still lives in the abandoned building, going out at night and bringing back the bodies of any kid awake late at night. Milk White was regarded as an urban legend in Sheboygan, and we had a creepy little rhyme kids would use on the playground to scare each other. It went, "Hush, now, sleep tight, or else beware of Milk White. He doesn't fuss, he doesn't fight, he'll kill you dead with just one bite."
Is this a real thing?
I'm sure.
You know, these people are liars. They always make this shit up. All this shit's fake.
But us Mexicans, we got La Llorona. I imagine white people have their version of La Llorona.
I don't think we did.
Your mom never sat you down and said, "This thing's gonna come kill you if you don't pick up your socks"?
I guess not. You know, she told me pick up your socks.
But no.
No, there were no threats of imminent death.
My best friend Hans and I fully believed the myth right up until middle school, until a new kid moved to town. He was from New York City, so naturally we knew he was way cooler than both of us. I don't know about that. I knew a lot of a-holes from New York City. His name was Jimmy. He had a New York accent and everything. He wore Chucks and had a leather jacket he'd wear year-round, even in the summer. What is this guy, the fucking Bonds?
Hey, what's up? I'm Jimmy.
Hey, you got any bagels,
Sheboygan, eh?
Sheboygan, I do some Sheboygan down in New York myself. So naturally, we befriended him. Hans and I weren't exactly cool, so it was a big deal for Jimmy to be hanging out with us. I was your stereotypical, scrawny middle schooler. I wasn't particularly special, but I guess I was a good kid. Hans, on the other hand, was by no means the sharpest tool in the shed. Not by a long shot. By middle school, he'd been held back 3 times, and for that reason, he was a head taller than the rest of us. But Jimmy had all the confidence. He could talk to girls and get himself out of trouble with just a smile and a wink. He was a raging know-it-all, and he never stopped talking about how lame he thought Sheboygan was.
Come on.
This guy sounds insufferable.
Coastal elite.
This goes for any place, okay? I just happen to live in Los Angeles. If I lived in Sheboygan, I'd feel the same way. If you are a local to a place and you have people that move into your town from another place, I don't want to hear, like, I hate it here, blah, blah, blah.
Then get out of here.
Go home. It would be like me going into someone's house and then being like, it's cold in here.
I like my house better.
You guys got some shit in the fridge. You don't have any Kool-Aid? What the fuck kind of establishment you running here? It's just rude. It's rude. All I'm saying is I hope Jimmy dies. It was Jimmy's idea to scope out the asylum. He said he was bored of the snow and wanted to do something exciting. That's when I told him about Milk White. What a crock of shit.
Hey, what a crock of shit.
That's a fucking baby story, and you're a baby for believing it. You don't actually think that's true, do you?
Did he say that baby story?
Yeah. You fucking little baby.
Oh, we got a little baby over here.
Hey, why don't I give you a little spanking on your little baby butt, huh? I shook my head no.
I am not a baby.
I could see Hans looking at me, but I stared past him until he shook his head too. Oh, he is slow. Am I a baby? No.
Don't say slow.
I'm just saying, if it takes you
He certainly
more than
was-
2 seconds to answer, am I a baby?
He certainly was slow to react to that question. Yes, if that's the context that you meant that in.
If I was in a job interview and I was conducting the interview and I said, hey, are you a baby? And he went, too long.
That is a slow response time,
Needs to
certainly.
be instant.
Yeah.
I am not a baby.
I am not a baby.
Jimmy decided we would go to the asylum that night. He joked about Milk White, calling him a pathetic excuse for a ghost story. It was embarrassing hearing him mock the creature that haunted our childhoods, but we said nothing. We snuck out around midnight and met up at the overpass. I was bundled in about 7 layers of wool. Jimmy, like always, wore only his leather jacket. We want this guy to die, right? I mean, okay. I bet you these kids want him to get the business too.
I don't know that they want him to be murdered.
They don't want maybe not him to get murdered, but maybe just roughed up a little bit.
By Milk White.
He led the way as we trudged through the snow towards the abandoned building. It must have been intimidating once, heck, it still was, but now it looked uncared for and decaying. As we walked, Hans grabbed my arm and pointed at the ground. There were a set of footprints in the snow leading toward the old hospital. They were larger than both of ours, and something about them looked odd. It took me a moment to realize why. The prints had toe marks. The person who had made them was barefoot. I debated showing them to Jimmy, but I knew he would just laugh at me. I shrugged Hans off. Come on. We caught up to Jimmy at the main entrance of the asylum just as fresh snow began to fall. Jimmy tried the door, but it was shut firmly. He kicked at it, but to no use.
I'll tell you what, having a great time with this story.
It's fun.
There's movement, there's action here. The setting is really nice. An old asylum, there's snow falling.
Little kids.
A lot of times in these stories, people are like, I noticed something weird, and then I continued to notice it, and then I died.
It's true, it kind of is.
This is a good season finale. If that's where this is landing, I'm having a great time.
I hope so.
They better stick the landing, though.
Hans was shivering. Looks like we can't get in. Jimmy laughed at him. You fucking pussy. We've barely tried yet.
Did he say that?
Good. Jimmy?
Watch your mouth.
That's strike 1.
You gotta wash your mouth.
It was
That
strike
was so
2,
good,
actually.
man.
You don't say that, okay? Hans and I were good Midwestern boys who never swore. But Jimmy had a terrible mouth. He then moved around to a boarded up window. It was low enough that he could use his hands to pry under the boards. With a violent jerk, he pulled the first plank away. Whatever glass used to be there was long broken. Jimmy made a loud grunting sound and fought another board loose. He pulled himself up to the window and ducked partway inside. Are you pansies coming, or are you gonna stand there and French kiss? What a little shit!
Do you think he's gonna give the business to Milk White when he sees them? He's gonna be like, hey, you tall white bitch.
Hey, why don't you come over here? I'll give you the 1, 2, a little thunder and lightning.
Hey, Milk White, why don't you come suck on my balls?
Oh, you gonna kill me? I got a better idea. Why don't you kiss my ass, huh? Hans and I looked at each other. If we went in, we'd be confronting the very thing we had feared since grade school. If we didn't, we'd have to French kiss. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You got me.
If we didn't, we'd lose our friendship with Jimmy and probably any shred of reputation. I hoisted myself through the window. I landed on a pile of broken boards and loose insulation. Other people must have tried to get in too over the years because there were planks everywhere. Hans flew through the window with a heavy thump. Instantly shrieking, he held up his hand. A jagged cut ran down the center of his palm. He must have cut it on a nail or broken glass from the window when he jumped through. It looked deep enough to leave a scar. Hans's eyes welled with tears as Jimmy rolled his. Jimmy turned his back on us and started towards the hall. The flashlights we'd remembered to bring with us weren't much help. The halls were pitch black. We stayed close to the walls, keeping a hand steady for balance. At one point, I heard a noise behind us and almost jumped out of my skin. Jimmy scoffed. Scared of mice now too, Twinkle Toes?
Twinkle Toes? He's getting better and better. Where does he come up with this stuff? He's an absolute lunatic.
Hey, are you turning on Jimmy now?
I love Jimmy. I hope he's the only one who makes it out of this alive.
Nah, I still hope he dies.
Yeah. I hope he beats the shit out of Milk White. Or takes out like a switchblade.
Oh yeah, like a butterfly knife?
Yeah.
Come on! The entire time we explored the asylum, I barely breathed. It wasn't just the darkness. It was that every iteration of every story of Milk White was playing in my mind on a loop. We found broken wheelchairs and nightmarish metal cots. Our flashlights scanned the darkness, but thankfully, nothing moved. Once we'd been exploring for an hour or so, my heartbeat slowed. Of course, Jimmy was right. Milk White was just a story used to scare kids. Hey, this sounds like every fucking place we've been to that's an asylum.
It does. Old, dilapidated, full of garbage and wheelchairs.
We had no Jimmy with us, though. I guess you
Oh
would
God, can you imagine if we had a Jimmy on Ghost Files? Can we just start casting for that?
You could cast Stephen Lim. It was Hans who found the door to the basement. He pointed at it with his flashlight. Jimmy tried the handle, but it was stuck. He tried kicking the door, but ended up just tripping backward. I stood by silently. Jimmy shone his light into Hans's face. You, big guy, kick it down. Hey, you big sack of shit. Why don't you take that fucking size 18 shoe and kick this door down, huh? What, you didn't get enough milk from your mama?
Jimmy's so funny. I love Jimmy.
Hans started trembling. Oh dear! Oh.
Whatever you say, Mr. Jimmy.
Kicks his foot, just goes a hole in the door. His foot's now stuck. Hans started trembling and shook his head. Jimmy pushed him. Come on, you great dumb idiot. Be useful for fuck's sake. Hans looked down, embarrassed. I stepped towards them. Maybe we should go. Jimmy sneered. Or maybe you should go. We all stopped immediately. Footsteps from behind the door, and they sounded like they were climbing the basement steps. I stared open-mouthed at Jimmy, who was frozen in place. The footsteps grew louder. Turn off your lights, Jimmy hissed.
I don't like it when Jimmy's scared.
I know. I see what the story is doing now. They set up this kind of
Man of Steel,
annoying
Jimmy,
badass.
our hero.
And now he's scared, and now we're like, oh shit, Jimmy's scared.
It's enough to scare
It's like
Jimmy?
if you get scared at a ghost hunt,
That's
people,
right, then they would know.
and then they would find out you were just running away from a frog.
That's not what
Waverly
happened.
Hills.
That's not what happened.
BuzzFeed Unsolved. I think it's the third season.
Mark ran away before I did.
No. No, Mark's behind camera.
Mark Celestino.
You ran away. You ran away.
The footage.
No. He dropped the camera. And I caught it.
We all shut our flashlights off and huddled against the wall. Hans was shaking badly, but I was nearly paralyzed. I could hear Jimmy swearing under his breath. The footsteps kept climbing until they were almost upon us. Then, the doorknob creaked. It was completely dark, so we couldn't see a thing. All we could do was listen as the door swung open. That's when we heard the voice, carrying an eerie, disembodied melody. It sang, "Hush, now, sleep, tight." Feeling utter terror, I spun around, knocking into Jimmy in the darkness. He was in a ball next to me, rocking back and forth.
What? Jimmy?
Oh man, what a turn.
Now who's the baby, Jimmy?
Yeah,
Well, I don't like to see Jimmy being a baby.
I do. All that gas just for him to be reduced to a baby himself.
Yeah.
Ain't it something beautiful, folks?
Oh, that makes me sad. I don't like to
This
see
just
Jimmy.
goes to show you bullies, they're just covering up their own sadness and fear.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I could feel the fear emanating from him. His jaw was clenched and his teeth were grinding. The voice sang, "Beware, beware of milk white." I trembled and my shaking thumb knocked the button on my flashlight. In a second, I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me because there it stood, barely 2 feet away, illuminated in the spotlight of my flashlight. It was tall, but stood bent and twisted, staring straight at us with bugging eyes. Stark and naked, its nails resembled claws, and its teeth protruded from its mouth, low and sharp. And its skin, it wasn't white. The nursery rhyme had been wrong. It was stained red. It took a step towards us and whispered, "Kill you dead with just one bite." And it was at that moment when I thought for sure my life was about to end. Then, Hans struck me hard over the head with his flashlight.
What? Hans?
Hans, you were in on it, you little shit!
Wait!
Now I don't even feel bad for calling you slow.
Hang on! This is the best.
Oh, damn!
This story is taking me for a ride, man.
Holy
'Cause what in the fuck is going on
He
here?
cut his own hand open as part of the bit.
Hans is working for Milk White?
Do you think he was getting paid?
I don't know. Does Milk White have a Chase account? or
W9 and
Venmo?
all that stuff?
I don't know.
Set up an LLC? I woke up on the floor of the asylum. My head was pounding and I could see sunlight outside. I struggled to stand, but my frostbitten fingers and toes made it difficult. I looked around and saw Jimmy laying on the ground nearby. He had a giant bruise on his forehead. I tried to wake him. He didn't move, but he was breathing.
Oh, thank God.
Did he have the jacket on still?
Oh, you know he did.
Oh, I really hope Milk White kills him and then takes the jacket and puts the jacket on. I still don't know how I did it, but I managed to stand and haul Jimmy back out the window. I wasn't strong enough to carry him, so I dragged him through the snow. He moaned quietly, but didn't wake up. I made it to a tavern by the highway. It was closed, but I pounded on the door until my knuckles bled, screaming for help. The owner finally came to see what the noise was and let us in. He was shaken by our appearance. It was undeniable. He called the police. I was soon wrapped in blankets and starting to feel the warmth return to my fingertips. Jimmy eventually woke up in the hospital with a mild concussion. I told the police our story, and they searched the entire asylum but didn't find anything. Jimmy had no memory of the night's events. Convenient.
What?
I don't remember anything. It was dark. Well, at least that's what he claims. The psychologist my parents made me see afterward told me I'd created the whole thing. She said Hans had done something terrible to Jimmy and me, and I had blocked it out. After all, Hans was older and much stronger than us. Why else would he have left town so suddenly? She said I'd called up the image of Milk White in place of Hans because it was one I'd known from childhood and was easier than the reality. I went to bed before dark every night until I went away for college. I haven't been back to Sheboygan since. My parents hound me every year to visit, but I refuse. They think it's because of what Hans did. But I know what I saw. And I know the reason Hans hit me was to knock me out cold. Because Milk White only gets you when you're awake. So, are you scared?
Okay. Well, in that case, it does sound like Hans was saving them. Milk White only gets you when you're awake.
Oh, so he wasn't
So the big moose
He was not a milk minion.
Sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
He didn't leave town. He was killed by Milk White.
He was 8. He got 8.
He got eaten.
Why wouldn't he
And then
knock himself out then?
He didn't think to do it. he is not a smart man.
That's true. He's not a smart
He's a
man.
big galoot.
He does know what love is, though.
Yeah. So all in all, a really sweet story.
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Hans, a really sweet, gentle soul who sacrificed his life.
That's
It was
right.
probably eaten.
Probably
Good
eaten.
meal.
I'm sure if Milk White had to choose between which one to eat, he's probably like, the big boy.
Big boy.
And he got his wish.
What's Jimmy up
What
to?
was Jimmy's life like after that?
Yeah.
Had he been knocked down a peg? Had he stopped being such a dick? Or was he like leaning into it even further?
He probably is working a Toyota dealership or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Working the boom boom room?
Or the boom boom room.
It was a great story. I have no notes.
It was a really nice story. It had an ending.
Had a great ending.
Yeah.
Anyways, the story was originally posted on Reddit's No Sleep by user Easy Misery. And for those of you who made it, we'll see you next time.
Hey folks, if you want to watch the full season right now, ad-free, along with other bonus content,
Then head on over to WatcherTV.com to subscribe to the Watcher TV app and watch all of our content a month early.
Or just continue to tune in here for free on YouTube every Friday.